Now, this is Wang Deshan. Now, who here thinks for an 80-year-old catwalk model he looks pretty fit? I think he does. He's an unlikely catwalk model because his daughter was working on a fashion show. She had a photograph of her dad, not looking like that, I have to say. The people who are organising the event actually asked to be introduced to him, and in no time at all, he's a catwalk model at age 80 and an internet sensation, certainly smashing the stereotypes around what it is to age. And so I carried on with my little bit of research, and this is what came up next. Now, how old, and I'd love it if you participate with me, how old do you think this lady is?
83.
83? Any more than that? Anything? Any more? No. She's 91 years old. Her name is Olga Kotelko. She's flying across the long jump here. She's won 750 gold medals for her track and field events. And listen to this, she didn't start until she was 77. So there's no excuse for that keeping class, Christine. And so I went on, and then the next thing I discovered that a gentleman called Peter Davis, a World War II veteran, at the age of 90, he did something that he'd actually wanted to do since the age of 4. He started to take hormone therapy when his wife died, and has now become transgender at the age of 90. And who could... Anything is possible, isn't it? We're certainly smashing the stereotypes around age. And if you go onto the internet, you can find some photos of Peter Pamela Davis. And then who could fail to be impressed by Irving Kahn? 105 years old, still at his desk, 7 o'clock every morning, American investment banker, in spite of the fact that his 2 sons retired in their 70s. So just before I begin, I'd like to touch on something that Mike said and tell you a little bit about me, if that's all right, and why I feel qualified to be able to be here and speak to you on this subject. But at the age of 49, I was in what I considered to be, in my world, a successful corporate career. I was working 80 hours a week, travelling hundreds of miles each week, living away from home, responsible for over 2,000 staff. And you know what? I thought I'd made it. And then, by the time I was 50 years old, I was bedbound. I was unable to have a conversation or have anybody speak to me. I couldn't read a book, listen to the radio, or watch television. My immune system and my nervous system had completely collapsed. And I had become light and sound phobic. And what that meant was that the slightest pin drop, it was like a pneumatic drill going off in my head. And I couldn't have daylight shine on me. It hurt. Can you imagine not being able to have daylight shine on you because it actually hurt? It was like somebody had stripped off my whole outer layer of skin and no longer able to interact with the outside world. My busy, supposedly successful life had turned into a living death as I lay there, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, for 8 long years. The medical profession said there was no cure, and I just had to learn to live with it. My friends and family were amazing. They trawled the internet for cures, and I tried them all, alternative, conventional, and it would seem there was no cure. As you can see, that wasn't not true. On the 31st of July 2007, I learned how to retrain my brain from being chronically ill and bedbound for 8 years into flourishing and being fit and healthy. And 6 weeks after I learned how to retrain my brain, it took 3 days, by the way, but it didn't really, actually it took 4 hours, but I carried on learning for 3 days. 6 weeks after that, here I am in this mini convertible here, driving around Europe, 6 weeks after being bedbound for 8 years. France, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, Croatia. That same year I went on to ski. I rode pillion on the Winter Olympics bobsleigh run in Italy. Do not do it. The G-force knocked me totally unconscious. I was really ill for a couple of days. Glad I did it. As you can see, I went on to walk over the top of the O2 Arena, Segway racing, skydiving, floating on the top of a bar of chocolate with my beloved granddaughter. I'd missed out on them growing up all those years. So I feel that I'm sort of qualified to be here today to talk to you about the art of ageing. Good, thank you, thank you. And so what happened then was I developed no surprise, is it? I developed a passion for this stuff, you know, that had transformed my life. I was like a kid in a sweet shop. And then what happened was I started travelling the world with the money from my retirement fund, I might add. There's nothing in there now. And I attended events and courses all around the world, learning more about this personal development, mind-body connection work. And here I am, for whatever reason, jumping off the top of a telegraph pole, consistently walking over hot coals, attending these events with thousands of other like-minded people. I was obviously the oldest one there, but it didn't seem like that. More recently, I run with my son. He beats me, he's an Ironman, but I do, and here I am coming in on a race. And just a few weeks ago, I'm getting in front of myself. Here I am, Christmas last year, I actually hiked 10,000 feet above sea level to the Tiger's Nest Monastery in Bhutan. The pension fund is so deleted. And all the way down again. And this is what I was going to tell you. Just a few weeks ago, I wing walked on a vintage aircraft at Headcorn for my 70th birthday. So here I am. Thank you. And I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to think that you are here and you're going to hear some of the stuff that I learned. It's really simple, not necessarily easy, but I'm going to be talking to you around how we can all flourish as we age instead of getting old as we age. There's a massive difference here. And so, like a little bit of audience participation here, can I ask you, anybody who thinks you can trick your aging body into feeling younger, could you raise your hand, please? Right. Yes. Well, it's not me. Some of you may already know about this. In 2010,
I think I'm doing too bad.
Michael, you're not doing too bad. How old are you?
92.
92.
Whoa.
Fantastic. You're doing amazingly. You could probably come up here and help me out here and tell me how to do it. A man called Michael Mosley, who's a researcher, you've heard him, he's done a lot of work, And some of you may have already know about this. In 2010, it was a TV programme, wasn't it? And what happened was, he was replicating some research that was done originally by Professor Ellen Langer of Harvard University. And what he did, he got 6 celebrities, because it would have to be celebrities, wouldn't it? Otherwise we would have believed them. Do you recognise any of these? Yeah? Yeah, Lionel, Liz Smith, Dickie Bird, Kenneth Kendall, Derek Jameson, Sylvia Sims. They were all invited to go into a house for 1 week. Now, the house was a 70s house, and it was set up with all the challenges that you